Call this Wednesday, August 13th, 2025 meeting of the City of Manassas Park Planning Commission to order. The time is 7:01. My name is Lester Finkel. Sitting this evening are Michael Carrera, John Evans, Michael Becketts, and Kevin Petak. At this time, I will ask Commissioner Becketts to lead us in a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next agenda item here is approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda this evening?
No.
Seeing none, care to make a motion to approve the agenda as is? Motion, second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next agenda item, we have two sets of meeting minutes to adopt this evening. We have the meeting minutes from the June 11th, 2025 meeting. Commissioner Becketts, I understand you'll abstain?
Yes.
Okay. As you were not here, thank you. So at this, I gave certain changes already in on that set of meeting minutes. Are there any other changes, commissioners? Seeing none, would anyone care to make a motion to adopt the June 11th, 2025 meeting minutes as amended?
So moved.
Motion, second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. One abstention. Motion carries. Next is the adoption of our July 9th, 2025 meeting. I didn't have any changes there. Any changes from commissioners?
No.
Okay. Would anyone care to make a motion to adopt the meeting minutes for July 9th, 2025 meeting?
So moved.
Motion, second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. At this time, what I will do is welcome to our members of the public here this evening. We appreciate having you. At this time, we have a general comment period or opportunity for comment. I would imagine that most or all of you are here for the two public hearings this evening, but I will give an opportunity in case any of you here want to speak to a topic that's not related to the two public hearings we're going to be holding this evening. I will be giving you opportunity to speak during each of those public hearings. Is there any member of the public here to talk about a different topic this evening other than the two public hearings we have this evening? Okay, thank you. So we do have two public hearings this evening. The first one is public hearing. It's a rezoning number 2025-01, Ivy Park and zoning waivers. There's WAI number 2025-01A, WAI number 2025-01C, and public facilities manual waivers, PFW number 2025-01A, and PFW number 2025-01F. So at this time, I will ask the applicant to come forward. So let me open the public hearing, actually. Put it on the record there. The time is 7:06.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Jonelle Cameron with Walsh, Colucci, Lubelai, and Walsh. I am a land use attorney here tonight on behalf of the applicant, Kay Hovnanian Homes. With me tonight are Martin Reiser and Justin Tochterman. I also have our civil engineer team here to answer any questions, so Gus Brush. He is with J2, and then we have our transportation consultant here as well, Andrew Butzik with Kittleson and Associates. I also have Starr and Bindu, who are with Walsh Colucci. We are here tonight seeking a rezoning of the property. It's currently zoned I-1 industrial and PUD planned unit development, and we're seeking to rezone that to PUD. And as you mentioned with the introduction, it also includes, it also includes several waivers and modifications. So as I go through my presentation, I'll walk through with you all what those waivers and modifications are. The property is 3 parcels, and it's at the intersection of Manassas Drive here and Digital Drive here. It's about 5.95 acres in size. And again, as I mentioned, the zoning is I-1 industrial and PUD. It is part of the City Center Redevelopment District, and as outlined in the staff report, the applicant is seeking 100% residential on the property. That is specifically one of the waivers that we are asking for. But the City Center really looks to have a mixed-use development, walkable, vibrant. This location is perfect based on the amenities, what you all have here in City Center, as well as access to the VRE. This slide is an illustrative specifically of the master development plan that you all have in your packet. And the applicant is asking for 86 townhome units. Of those 86 units, 9 of those units, so 10%, will be affordable units. The city recently adopted a housing policy that outlines what they would like to see as offered within the affordable housing, and the applicant has agreed to do that. Access will be from Digital Drive here, and I will provide you all with some better exhibits of access as well as what we had to do for traffic. The applicant is providing landscaping along Manassas Drive. We're also providing lighting. So Manassas Drive had a lighting study, or the City of Manassas Park had a lighting study, and as part of that lighting study, they recommended specific lighting types along Manassas Drive. So as part of this proposal, the applicant is doing that. So there will be landscaping along Manassas Drive. There will be landscaping along Digital Drive. And then the applicant is seeking a waiver. This property here to the rear is industrial. It is owned or will be owned by the City of Manassas Park and eventually be used as one of their buildings. The applicant, instead of providing a 40-foot buffer, is seeking to reduce that buffer to 20 feet, which is one of the waivers and modifications that you all see in the packet. We are also seeking to reduce the plant units and asking for specific waivers to that. But in exchange for that, the applicant is proposing a fence. So we will be providing a fence along this property line here. The applicant is also providing landscaping adjacent to Belmont Station and Belmont Reserve. Even though it is like zoning, so a buffer is not required, we are providing landscaping along the area here as well. And that fence will come all the way down and come like this. So essentially on that entire property line and property frontage. And I do have some line of sight exhibits that I will provide to you all in a couple of other slides. We are also providing sidewalks, so a 5-foot sidewalk along Manassas Drive, a 5-foot sidewalk along Digital Drive. There is an existing utility line, so if you drive by there today and look really closely in between the trees, there's a utility line that is above ground today, so it essentially extends here, and then it cuts across. There's a church property across the street that's vacant. That utility line is above ground across Manassas Drive. The applicant has specifically proffered that we will underground the utility along Manassas Drive on the property frontage. And as long as we are able to receive easements from the church across the street, if you look on aerial GIS, it actually looks like the existing utility pole is within their property. And we were unable to locate any easement, so we are going to go out there and survey that property. But as long as we are able to obtain easements, the applicant will be undergrounding the utility line across Manassas Drive as well. This slide is the circulation plan, so it really just shows you how sidewalks and circulation will work across the entire property and through the property. One of the waivers that we are requesting is a waiver of a sidewalk on both sides of the street. But what we are showing is that no matter where you are on the property, there is pedestrian connectivity. Sorry, Mickey, do I have to do anything with this? Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that. There is pedestrian connectivity, so that will allow for you to get to any one of the amenity areas or any other home throughout the site. The other waiver that we are seeking, a majority of them do have to do and are transportation related. We are seeking a reduction in the width of the travelways from 30 feet to 26 feet. The applicant has met with both the fire marshal and planning staff to review that width to ensure that the roads will be wide enough for there to be emergency access, and there will be, so there were no issues from staff with that waiver. Other waivers include allowing the homes to front on a private street. All of the streets within the development are private. They will be privately maintained by the HOA as part of the proposal. We are providing, again, a 5-foot sidewalk along Manassas Drive and also along Digital Drive. One of the proffers that you will see is we may need an off-site easement for the sidewalk as we go here to connect. So we will potentially need an off-site easement. So you see that language when we talk about eminent domain in the proffer, and that's specifically just for an easement in case we need a construction easement for that sidewalk connection. This slide here is just an illustrative of the unit type. These are 18-foot wide townhomes. We had a community meeting and a lot of questions came up on parking. And is there sufficient parking for this site? So the city parking requirements, we are actually over the parking requirements by 3. One of the things that the city does not allow you to do is count the garage as a full garage. So from those purposes, we are only allowed to count the garage as a half garage instead of an entire garage, but something that K. Hovnanian Homes can do, and they often do, their HOA documents will prohibit storage in the site. So if we are able to count all of the garages, we're actually overparked by 43 on the site. So that's just something to be aware of as well. We did provide design guidelines and proffered to those design guidelines as part of this proposal. What you see on the screen specifically are building elevations that are associated with those design guidelines. And so we've proffered specific materials as well. What staff wanted to make sure that we did is that there was a breakup in the materials and there was a percentage of masonry. So that way it was not all siding as part of the proposal. So this is what you all will see in that staff report. There are several community amenities as part of this proposal. We do have 3 park areas. We have a picnic park, a community park, and a social park. So I'll quickly just go over those areas with you. In total, the 3 parks are about 13,600 square feet in total. The specific community park has various elements of it because it's large, so we are showing fitness stations and benches for seating. We have a play lawn area, so an open area for children. There's also play equipment for children as well with seating and a tot lot. The picnic area has fire pits. It also contains grills and picnic seating areas. And then the social park area is more of a sitting area that has another open lawn and benches. We thought it was important to provide some line of sights. It was important to staff for people to actually be able to see, great, you show me something 2D, but visually, what would it look like? So what you see on your screen is the view from Digital Drive. So A1 is if you're coming down Digital Drive towards Manassas Drive, and then A2 is if you're coming from Manassas Drive up on Digital Drive. This slide is the view from Manassas Drive. So B1 is if you're at the corner here of Digital Drive and Manassas Drive, and then B2 is if you're at the corner here, specifically looking towards Manassas Drive. And this lighting here is the lighting that I mentioned earlier that was pursuant to that lighting study. Finally, we thought it would be important to show what the visual aspect would be and what it would look like for the homes that are directly adjacent to the residential. So what we're showing here is the fence is in this area here with landscaping in front of that fence. And really, that concludes my presentation. I am able to answer any questions that you all may have.
I'll start with Commissioner Carrera and work our way down. Commissioner Carrera?
Thank you, and I appreciate you doing the presentation at the town halls. I know that one question was for me was for the utility. I know you put the utility underground across the street, so that requires, what, 12 months? If you cannot get that easement across the street, then what would occur?
So if we're unable to get the easement across the street, then the city has the option to use their eminent domain power to obtain that easement. And if the city is unwilling to use their eminent domain power, then the applicant would no longer be responsible for undergrounding that utility. One thing that I didn't mention as part of this proposal is we are proffering $1,887,000. Initially, what the applicant did was set aside $200,000 for that undergrounding to say if we're unable to do it, city, you can use that money in order to do that. But specifically what we were told and what we were asked is that we just commit to doing it, which we will as long as we can get an easement to do so.
Okay, so the only question I have, and the concern I have that, because it would cost more than $200,000 to underground that utility across the street. Is that correct, City Manager? I thought we had an estimate of almost $400,000.
More than likely, probably about twice that.
So I'm concerned that because there's language in there that's 12 months, if it's not done, then we are on the hook, we're on the hook for the remaining $200,000. That's my concern about that.
So specifically what the proffer says, I just want to read it. So specifically what the proffer says, if we are unable to, it's proffer 14B.
I was reading it, yeah. So-
If we are unable to obtain the easement, the city can use their eminent domain power. The applicant will reimburse the city for the cost of that eminent domain. So attorney fees cost, the cost to actually purchase the easement from
For the
that
entire
owner.
project?
Correct.
Okay.
For obtaining the easements. So what this essentially assumes is the applicant will try their best to get the easement. The applicant can't do that. The applicant will then say to the city, we need you to use your eminent domain power to get this easement, and we will reimburse you for that process of obtaining the easement. And once you have the easement, we will still then construct it.
Perfect, thank you. I just have one other question.
Absolutely.
On the streetlights, I saw your rendering of the streetlights. They're on the opposite side of the sidewalk, so it'll be similar to what's going up on the streetscape, going up down the street. So the streetlights will be moved between the curb and the sidewalk, because I think your rendering shows it on behind the sidewalk.
We are currently showing the lighting on our property. So is your request that we move it further up?
Because this came up with the other project down the street, Palisades, they put them in correctly, and I think they had to move them
It's
again.
very
Like,
interesting that you mentioned that. We, as staff, did discuss this, but if you actually look at Belmont Reserve as well as Palisades, there really is no continuity. Palisades has it on the utility strip, but if you go towards Belmont Station, it's actually behind the sidewalk. And so we are happy to address it any way the commission would like. I didn't want to press the issue because it didn't seem to be any conformity, but I think it could be either way would be acceptable. But there is no consistency in terms of the actual
and
location.
that's not in the city center comp plan of where it's supposed to be? That was never placed in that comp plan?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, I think there was a plan for the downtown years ago that kind of specified what that all is, but that was never like formally adopted.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Evans?
I have no questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Beckett's?
I have a question about the impact of traffic.
Absolutely.
And when your assessment or your study was done in March of 2024, did it consider the development that's being proposed on West Carondelet and Manassas Drive?
That is a great question. I was actually ready for your question
I
based
know.
on the town hall, so I really appreciate that. So as part of a rezoning application, we are required to do a traffic impact analysis. And what that traffic impact analysis requires us to do is look at what are the trips today and what is the level of service at our intersection. What are the trips in the future without our development? but with background development. So here we had to include 3 background developments. Those did not include the property that is also being heard this evening. And then we had to look at what does it look like in the future with us. At the intersection, it operates at levels of service A and B. Today, in the future without us, and in the future with us. We did not, as part of looking at this, so Village at Manassas Park was one of the applications that we had to take into consideration. Our estimates are actually more conservative because when we had to take into consideration that project, we took into consideration the entire project and didn't back out what has already been constructed and operational. So the existing homes are already in our count, and so is the city building. So essentially, it's taken into consideration twice. After we had our community meeting, we did go back specifically and looked at what will happen to this intersection based on the project that's coming, and the levels of service remain the same. So they're still A and B. There are negligible changes in the traffic at this intersection.
Thank you.
Commissioner Patak?
Yes, thank you. I'm concerned about the street parking. Obviously, we have, parking adequacy issues throughout the city. The 76 spaces on the street, those are all perpendicular parking, is my understanding. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so the street width is 26 feet, excluding those perpendicular parking spaces? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. And with relationship to garage parking, will your homeowners association have covenants in it that preclude people from converting their garages for other uses?
Yes. And if that makes the council feel better, the planning commission feel better, we would be willing to add that into the proffer as well.
I think that would make us feel better, yes.
We have a consensus on
Thank
that?
you.
Yes,
Yes. Okay,
Okay.
then yes, please.
I have another question.
Commissioner Beckett's?
I'm really concerned about there's one way in, one way out. From a safety perspective, damage on the street, people could be trapped in, people may not be able to get in. Could you talk about that? 'Cause-
Absolutely. So we actually do have an emergency access. I will show you on the MZP. It's a little bit clearer. So this is the master zoning plan that's part of the package. And we have an emergency access as well. And it's here. So this access is used for emergency vehicles only. But in the event that there is an emergency that others would need to be able to get out, they would be able to use that access point.
So then why not just make it an open access point in general?
We can look into that. I think it was a spacing requirement between that access point and the intersection. You have to be a certain distance away, but if it's an emergency access only, then you do not need to be that distance away. There was contemplated with the development here. I'm gonna go back again. You can see it sort of in this area in here. As part of their rezoning application, there was contemplated to be an interparcel connection between the properties, but they have here constructed parking. There is also in that area a curb, and based on sort of the community feedback that we received, I don't think that would be welcomed by that community to have that connection. But our access was reviewed by staff as well as your transportation staff, and they did not have a concern. But we can look into whether or not that emergency access could be used as a full access.
I mean, on your map, it looks like your emergency access is impeded by a tree.
We will fix that. That is not how it is on the master zoning plan.
Commissioner Patak?
Yeah, one other question. I think during, was it July, whenever we had the public meetings, there was a lot of concern voiced about the tree canopy to the back of the property. Could you address that a little bit more and what you're planning for the tree canopy back there?
I think for that site, sorry, I just wanted to make sure, really what we're doing is a fence in between the property, and then we're also doing a 20-foot landscape strip, as well as plants, and I can give you the specific plant units. It's part of our waiver.
That would be helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. So in that area, we're doing one large evergreen tree per 10 linear feet, one medium evergreen tree per 15 linear feet, and one large deciduous tree per 30 linear feet, as well as a solid vinyl fence.
Thank you.
Other questions from commissioners at this time?
Just one. And the
Commissioner Beckett?
And the fence is maintained by the HOA?
Correct.
Thank you for your presentation. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Before I call forward the Planning and Zoning Administrator to present the city's presentation, City Manager Cole, a number of other members of the public came in after the sign-in. Do we want to provide, is that?
We have more paper.
For anyone who hasn't signed in already, if you would go to where the city manager is, and he'll have you sign in so that I have a list of the names of those who will be speaking this evening. And just for members of the public to let you know and give you the expectation for this evening. So with the public hearings we're hearing this evening, the Planning Commission will be recommending at some point. So once we close each public hearing, we will have an opportunity to discuss what we've heard. And then if we're in a position to take a vote this evening on each of the public hearings, our role is to recommend one way or the other, and we can also recommend amendments to the applications for the governing body or the city council. So I just wanted to make sure that all of you present understand that your expectation, we're not going to be passing or denying anything this evening, but should we take a vote, we will be recommending to the governing body whatever the motion and the second is, and whatever the vote says, we'll be recommending that to the governing body. So just wanted to make sure your expectation was what you're seeing this evening. When we're done, you're not wondering what just happened because you were expecting something that we don't have the authority to do. We recommend when it comes to this type of a public hearing, this type of an application. So just wanted to let you know that as well. And with that, I will ask the Planning and Zoning Administrator, Barry, to present the city's presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Janelle did a wonderful job explaining the application, so I will just go through some of my slides fairly quickly, just from staff's perspective. We did work a lot to get them to do some of the items that we felt were remiss during the review process, and she did mention such as the fence and the underground utilities that we found more acceptable by the third submission. We always look at the zoning and future land use map when you're doing any kind of change in land use. You can see here that the existing properties, as Janelle mentioned, they're all industrial except for this odd piece here. Just a bit of history. This was part of the Belmont Station property. And it was this little tail, but it was subdivided back in 2016, and they donated it to the city. So that is how the city has ownership here, but it's being used to develop all these properties. The future land use, you can see everything around it to the north and east is multifamily. It is in the city center redevelopment district, which is supposed to be a mixed-use district where our downtown is. That's really kind of the ultimate of what this area is supposed to be. You can see that these parcels are on the periphery of that. So it really doesn't make sense to force an applicant to do mixed use when there's the Manassas Park Plaza, or Manassas Park Plaza with the 7-Eleven on Andrew Drive, and then you have the downtown. Trying to get commercial in here would never be viable. So really the best use for this property is to add residents to actually make the commercial areas that we do have more vital and robust for frequent and recurring customers. Private institution, this is the church property, and it is vacant at this time. And so they are going to be switching to multifamily, but it really does fit into the character of the area, since most of it is multifamily surrounding it to the north and east. I kind of already talked about this. This is what our comp plan talks about. The city center redevelopment district is more about mixed use. And as I mentioned, it's really not applicable here. But these are the things that we are looking for. But there is mention about open space, adequate parking, and a consolidation of parcels. Here you have the development plan that you've already seen. And she mentioned these waivers. These are zoning waivers that they can apply for. And she mentioned the 100% residential, and staff is supporting that because of the location of the development. And the landscaping buffers, they are reducing the width of that buffer by 50%. But we are okay with that given the amount of landscaping that they're doing, as well as a vinyl fence. They did come in with a vinyl fence on the latest submission, which we were really happy to see. And really the reduction in the planting is more so that you can't fit as many trees in there when the width isn't as wide. So they adjusted it accordingly to the width and not crowd out trees, which would end up dying and not serving the purpose of screening. These are the public facilities waivers. Our public facilities manual is really based on a suburban model, and there were really a lot of restrictions for private streets. And these are the lists. That really does not work in modern urban developments because it just takes up too much space and doesn't really allow for a concentration of usable open space. One of the aspects of this application is that they have 3 areas of open space. Many of the communities, while there are some lawns, and we certainly have the open space areas in Bloom's Crossing, they're really not concentrated within the development. So we're really happy to see that these are functional open spaces, little pocket parks that the community can use. So we are supportive of these. We have granted these waivers for several of the applications that have come through in the City Center Redevelopment District. It just makes sense for a more urban, compact development. Just some highlights of the application. They are doing 4 affordable dwelling units. That's for anybody who makes up to 70% of the annual median income for the area, and 5 workforce housing units. Those are actually for city employees who make up to 80%. And that goes to our housing policy. We did mention the amount of garage spaces. There are 76 surface spaces that will accommodate guests, visitors, and people who have extra vehicles. Janelle mentioned both of the undergrounding and the monetary contribution. So we are recommending to the Planning Commission approval of the rezoning, as well as the 2 types of waivers, the zoning waivers, 2025-01A through 2025-01C, and then the public facility waivers 2025-01A through 2025-01F. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I think we covered most of it, but I'd be happy to answer anything you have. Thank you.
Questions from commissioners for Planning and Zoning Administrator Barry? Commissioner Carrera? No. Commissioner Evans? Commissioner Beckett?
Just one quick question. How much parking is lost on Digital Drive for construction of this development? Do we know?
I don't know. I have to look to see what on-street parking there is permitted on Digital Drive. I will have to get back to you. That's an excellent question. I think there are some limitations of on-street parking on Digital, but I will look into that and have that answered for you. Excellent question.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Petak, what was the item that you wanted to have added?
On this one.
Okay, that's fine. Very good. Do you have any questions for?
I'm fine,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Okay, at this time, I want to give our members of the public an opportunity to speak. The city has a 3-minute rule for speaking, so our Ms. Lana Connor from the city will be keeping time for me. I appreciate that. And she'll give me the high sign, and then I can give you the high sign. What I do is I have a sign-in sheet in front of me. I will say someone's name, and if you do want to speak for this public hearing, because we do have 2 this evening, you don't have to speak to either of them. You can speak during both of them, but if you do want to speak, please come forward to the microphone, and then I will give you an opportunity to state your name and address for the record, and then to make your statement. If you don't want to speak during this hearing, and I call your name, you can just indicate to me that you don't want to speak, and I'll move on to the next person on the sign-in sheet. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, good. I will begin then. At this time, I'll give an opportunity for the public to speak during the public hearing. I will call Kevin Moreau.
I'm going to pass.
Okay,
To the next one. Thank you.
you're welcome. Stacy Sieberling.
To the next one.
Okay, thank you. William McAllister.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, residents of the community. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to address this.
Could you just give us your address for the record? I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry. I reside in Belmont Reserve on Isabel Lane.
Fine, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So first, I'd like to talk about communications and notification for this whole process. Only 2 or 3 people in my community received an initial notification for the meeting that was held last month. I did attend. I am a member of the board of directors and am acting as treasurer in the community, so I did make sure to avail myself of that opportunity. Subsequent communications were sent out about the zoning, and I did not receive this memo. So a significant number of members of our community never received the initial notification for the meeting last month. Some people did get notice, but then there was a secondary document that was sent out which was not provided to everyone. So unfortunately, our community has not had enough time, given a 1-month leeway, to properly synthesize all of this wonderful planning. Generally, we do support the development of the community, but it needs to be done so in a manner that is suitable not only for the new residents, but the existing ones that are currently, have an invested interest in the betterment of the community taken as a whole. This community is extremely dense. I'm not an urban planner. I did, however, do some research, and right now, with the number of housing units that are proposed, it is well beyond what is considered the normal amount in Prince William County and Fairfax County. This is currently residing on 5.95 acres with the estimated number of units that are being input. It is at a ratio of 14 units per acre. In the county of Prince William and Fairfax, currently the median is between 8 and 12. This community does not have enough parking spots. It is woefully inadequate. Just speaking from experience and residing in the community next door, nobody really has full use of their garage because we use them for storage. These are one-car garage units, so I would imagine that the availability of parking on a per-unit basis is going to be impacted by probably at least 20 to 40% of the residents, meaning that they only have one spot. Given the number of units and the available parking spots not equal to the total number of units that are there is not going to be enough parking for just their own personal use vehicles. It does not take, the proposal does not take into consideration the fact that probably 10 to 20% of all residents in the Manassas Park area drive commercial vehicles. There's a lot of contractors. It does not address any of the parking on that area. With respect to that, commercial vehicles are larger.
If you will summarize, please, thank you. The time
we
is up.
done?
Yes, time is up.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. Jeremy Hunsinger?
Hello, I'm Jeremy Hunsinger. I live on Jessica Drive, over up here. Main concern I think I have is I want to know how long will, if the sidewalk needs to be worked on, they have to do work underneath it, is I want to make certain it's not going to completely knock out the sidewalk for a long period of time. Some people like to walk into the city center, and that's how we get in there to go to the farmer's market and stuff like that, and being blocked from that and that way would be just kind of, I know it might need to be done, but not for too long, or I'd like to know how long they would have it locked out. On top of that, it seems to be very sparse on trees, and as I'm concerned right now about erosion in our area, we have trees for a reason, to make certain that we're taking out those trees, that they have some plan to put, I'd look like they could put more trees down maybe, to maybe help support the actual foundation. All right?
Thank you. Lauren Chan? Okay, thank you. Chris Ricotta?
Hello, my name is Chris Ricotta. I live on in Bellgate and Dominion Crossing. My biggest concern is we're looking at like 86 units they're talking about. So, I mean, we're really looking at anywhere between 86 and 172 vehicles new on coming up Manassas Drive, and especially coming up Digital Drive, which is where I live down, and it's right there on the corner when you're trying to pull in. You know, when you're looking at reducing the width of the street a little bit, or not as much, if I understood correctly, because they're trying to get rid of some of the parking there. And I'm just concerned. I mean, I'm not opposed to this, but to me, at this time, I don't think it's the right time. I think we need to, look at the infrastructure a little bit better before we go ahead with something like this. Because especially now with the 300 units being built over here right next to City Hall, I mean, you're going to have a lot more, especially when they're all finished being built. You're going to have a lot more of the traffic coming down there, and then coming all this area. It's going to get a little more congested, at least I feel. I know they did their study, but my brain can't, from practicality. I moved from a small town in New York, the same issues. It's just the infrastructure was not ready for the new builds, and I'm just want to make sure that doesn't happen here. Okay.
Thank you. Christine Ricotta?
Good evening. My main concern is the part where they're going to have emergency vehicles only. How are they going to enforce that? Because if people are trying to get out of there, not in an emergency, just, oh, okay, there's a little line, so I'm going to take the emergency exit in and out. How do they enforce that? And again, with the parking, I live, of course, with my husband in Bellgate, and there is parking on the street, and what comes along with that is trash being thrown out onto the areas and just left there. And also, we have 2-car garages, and most of the people do not park in their garage or their driveway, so they're taking up all the extra spaces, so then where a visitor's gonna go? That's my main concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Ronnie Ruiz? Okay. Does he want to speak to this? Yeah, okay, thank you. Inez Solis. Christian Medina. Okay. Lawrence Chavez.
My name is Lawrence Chavez, and I live on Isabel Lane. And I just want to concur with one of the previous speakers that said that I think I just want to concur with the previous speaker that said that this development needs a little more time. I think the residents need more time to digest what the actual impact of this will be on it. So I don't know if they can stay on the development so that there could be some more critical analysis of traffic flow, impact on the infrastructure that's going to result as part of this development. I think it's been moving quite rapidly, it seems, without knowledge of the residents. And I don't mean that as intentional, but it just feels like more time should have been allotted. And with regards to this fence that's supposed to be built, they didn't mention the quality or the height of the fence. Maybe I missed it. If they could speak to that barrier. And also to the fact that they're still on Digital Drive, these manufacturers that generate such noise pollution, and how this is going to impact the area, since this green area kind of serves as a sound buffer. So once that's gone, I guess the people that are going to live there are going to live inside a drum. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandra Smith.
Good evening, everyone. I live at Belmont Station. My first question is, can I give my time to the gentleman in the green?
Is he signed in?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
He spoke before.
Oh, you want to? Oh, sure, please.
So can you finish what you were saying? Because I completely agree with you so far. Thank you.
Mr. McAllister, you're welcome to.
Thank you. Parking. So, based on research that I did, I'm not an engineer, but I did ballpark what other communities are looking at, and the minimum number of spaces, according to what I did in my research, is 82. The high end is 105. So there is definitely not enough parking in this community. The bit with the commercial vehicles, completely applicable. Just to give you a scope, and I know this is not average, my next door neighbor has 5 cars. It's parents, children, and the younger parents, they have children, so it's, and they use their car for their garage for storage too. I do. I think most people would identify with that. These are smaller units than what I'm in Belmont Reserve, so they're going to have even more challenge storing away their high school yearbooks. There hasn't been any talk about crime, and I'd like to address that a little bit. Right now, in Belmont Reserve, there is an area that is unlighted, and there is moderate drug use that is taking place. We've tried to address that on the board. The problem is that lighting installation is compromised by the fact that there is no electrical conduits for us to put it in. Putting in this community would afford an opportunity to make lighting available because electrical lines will be drawn up. So I would like to request that if this community does move forward, that consideration be made towards making lighting adjustments on, I wish the map was still up there, but on the right-hand side of the community, basically the line abutting up to Belmont Reserve. There's also significant littering and loitering. I think it's people from the 7-Eleven that are coming down after their hot dog, and they're just parking there because it's an easy place, and then they take it and just throw the stuff out. We have a big trash problem. I think most communities have trash problems these days. I could go on and on.
Please do. All of us want to.
It's a lack of notice. It seems very rushed. Like I said, we all live here. We want this to be good for everyone. I just find that community is extremely dense. And to be honest with you, this is going to sound, it's the crime. It's getting worse in Manassas Park. I get these community notices and everything like that, and,
If we could summarize, please.
okay.
Thank you.
I think the community feels that we need more time.
Thank you. Eleftheria Brown?
Yes, I'd like to give my time to Ms. Sandra, that just left.
Continue.
Hello, everyone. I'm back. Like I said, my name is Sandra, and I live at Belmont Station. One, I agree with the gentleman. Notification, communication was missing. I'm not sure why it happened, how it happened. Maybe he forgot our addresses, I don't know, but it was an issue. I have a problem with the waiver to have 100% residential. We have enough residents. I mean, I love you guys, but we have enough. I don't know about anybody else, but my water bill is extremely high. And I don't know what the impact of that's going to be with this 100 townhomes. The other one is traffic congestion. If you've ever tried to get off of Manassas Drive onto 28 going north, it's a nightmare. Even though they just recently expanded it, we both know it's not working, okay? So therefore, what is the impact of local schools that these units is going to cost? And the other one is there going to be a traffic light on Manassas Drive at Cromwell? Right now, it's a four-way stop sign. If we're putting in all those units, how are we going to get out of there? And if, God forbid, if we have a heavy snowstorm, we're not the best on cleaning snow. So how are we going to get out? You're blocking us in. And I just think that we need more time as residents to consider all of these changes that is being proposed today, because it's going to impact us. I don't know where I'm sure you guys do, but it's a direct impact to us. Thank you for your time. I hope you will consider the residents and how we feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Likan Zoya, I'm so sorry about not pronouncing your name correctly. Please do introduce yourself and your address there. Thank you.
Sure. Lakin Adeshoye, and I live in the Palisades. Okay. I noticed the sign and everything, so I wanted to come here to see what this is all about. And just so that everyone knows, my profession, I am a realtor. So I know the impact of what a new development would bring to a community, and I also know the negative side of what it would bring to a community. I was listening to everything that they mentioned here, and two things that you brought up that were of concern to you, and I'm sure it's concern to everyone in this room, is the first thing is the parking, which I will get to in a second. The second one is the one-way in, the one-way out. That bothered me a lot because 80-something homes, and let's say they have spouses or children, visitors, that's not a lot of space for cars to come in and out of a community at all. I understand that they said that there's also an emergency exit, but it needs more. Like, this was planned, and obviously there are reasons for it to be planned, but I think it still needs to go back to the drawing board and come up with a solution with regards to that portion. The second thing is there's very few communities that only one home has one car. Majority of them have two or more. And when I introduce my buyers to a home or a new community, the first thing, if it's not the kitchen, the first thing they talk about is their parking. It'll be hard to sell a one-car garage townhome to where they're telling them in order to create more parking space, they cannot use their garage for what it is intended for, because it is a fee simple home, meaning that they own the home. So we're telling them that they actually don't own the garage if we're trying to create more parking space inside their home. So I just think that what was planned it might need to be reduced a little bit in order to create more parking space and open it up a little bit more for the new residents that are going to reside in that community. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Barbara Denton?
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm here because
Where do you live? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
Where do you live? I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Manassas Park Station, 9570 Walker Way.
Thank you.
I've been here 17 years. I came here and I took my time when I selected this community. It was green, it was lush, it was beautiful, it was not congested. It's slowly turning to a community that I would not have accepted because it's just too congested. Digital Drive is just, when I came here, there was only one set of apartments. And then there was another, and now we got two. And now we have another community of townhomes. Coming out of Manassas Park Station sometime is challenging because of the congestion already on digital. Also, we have a lot of dog owners. I love dogs. But there's not enough dog stations on digital at all. Also, we need some trash containers. If you walk down Manassas Drive past the 7-Eleven going towards the old golf course, they have more doggy stations. They have more trash cans. And it hurts me when I go walk and I see trash on the weekends and bottles and things all over. It wasn't that way when I moved in. It is turning to a community that I never would have selected. I'm just concerned that we are putting in more homes on a street that's already congested, near a traffic light. I love Manassas Park. I wouldn't have moved here if I wasn't, it was ideal. I lived that I informed my family how happy I was, and especially in the wintertime and the snow, I'm a Floridian, so I just love it. However, and here's the other one last thing, with the two communities or buildings that came in on Digital Drive, some of the street got torn up that has not been repaired. It doesn't look like the pristine community that I chose 17 years ago. Thank you.
Thank you. Osk Honeycutt?
Hello. Oh, gosh.
That's okay.
All right.
That's
Off
okay.
to a good start. I'm very short here, excuse me. Hi, I'm Osk. I live on Andrew Drive in Belmont Station. I'll make this really quick. I have a couple of concerns, I guess. I echo the sentiments that additional parking and additional egress are all good ideas. I also want to say that I have some questions about the vinyl fencing. In Belmont Station, that is like directly behind several people's houses. It's going to be right next to their fence, and that is going to very quickly deteriorate, require maintenance and cleaning, and it's going to pretty quickly become unsightly. And so I would venture to guess that the residents that live there on the other side of where that fence is going to be installed are going to very quickly become unhappy with that. Yeah, I also would like to point out that a provision saying that the HOA prohibits you from using your garage as storage is unenforceable. So it's, the HOA cannot, open your garage door and cite you for that. So there's no way to enforce that. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle Thomas? Okay, thank you. Nancy Edwards?
Hi, I'm Nancy Edwards. I live on Christie Drive in Belmont Station. I was actually the first homeowner to purchase there 33 years ago when this whole side of Manassas Park was nothing but trees. There wasn't even a model to choose from. It was a sales trailer and trees. So I've watched all of the development happen over the past 33 years, and I understand the growth of the city. I was born and raised in New York City. I also understand living among millions of people. My concern with this development, besides what's been talked about, is my backyard actually abuts to this property. There's already a chain link fence that separates the two. So I'm curious as to where the vinyl fence would be in relation to that chain link fence. Would it replace it? Would there be a couple feet of buffer in between? Where are the trees going to be planted? I'm assuming they'll be planted within the vinyl fence that's going to be installed on the new property side. There's also trees on the Belmont Station side. I didn't see anything for like storm management in the new development. I don't know if there's a plan for something, but all the water goes downhill. And Manassas Drive is downhill towards Digital, so that could be a problem for them. I think there's also a creek running through along the way. What else? That probably about covers it, other than what has already been said. Oh, also the garages. I know of homes where they've put up sheetrock to have the garage, and there's people sleeping in the back half of the garage. So you can't enforce anything with regard to what happens in someone's garage. Even if you know about it, you can send a notice of violation, but those get ignored. And I think that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt Law, or Lau? Okay, thank you. Paul?
I live in the Dominion Crossing.
And what's your last
area.
name, please? I'm sorry.
Sure, Paul N.
Thank you.
In the Belgrade Drive at Dominion Crossing. I'm going to bemoan what everybody's talked about, is the infrastructure, Digital Drive infrastructure. What about the construction? It's going to block up all that area in Digital Drive. We're not going to have anywhere to go except around the corner to the same area where the back end. I think what Mr. McAllister had brought over about the parking is absolutely on point. We're going to have a ton of problems. Even if we have, when kids are being dropped off for their bus, the line to get out of Digital Drive is almost 3/4 of the way, all the way back up to the corner. It is a very congested area. Before we start developing an area, we should invest in the infrastructure that we have currently, okay? Our roads still need to be paved. They need to be widened. We need to have more studies on the infrastructure in that area. I think that's where you need to invest first. Then we can talk about putting in a development with more people and invest in that infrastructure before we start pushing these through. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Craig Davies? Okay. Alice Colmenares? Oh, okay, sure.
Hi, my name is Alice. I live in Pickens Place. I actually wanted to give up my time to Mr. McAllister, I believe, if you want to say something else.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you, and I want to hear what.
Use your time if you have any left
No,
over.
no, go ahead.
Mr. McAllister.
Hi, me again. This one is really hard, and I'm not sure it's something that the city can actually do anything about, but it's super hard to get out onto 28 in the morning. And the continued development that we have going on in the city is welcomed. I know that you guys do a great job. You know, it's changed so much for the positive in so many ways, but as we continue to add, it's becoming really challenging traffic-wise. And, you know, I work in the city of Fairfax, so I live it every day. And people are now resorting to cutting through communities that are at the end. As you're going down Manassas Drive, you can go up onto Quarry, and you can make another right, and you can zing around, and you're driving through somebody else's townhouses. And people are now going into commercial properties and coming over and cutting across inside of a commercial property and then making turns onto 28. I've seen it even create an accident in the morning. It's really testing the goodwill of everyday citizens trying to fight the traffic that is occurring as a result of all of this continued development. But again, you know, you've got this big Manassas Drive and all these people just coming down at, you know, anywhere from 6 to 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's just kind of turning into pandemonium with respect to making the right-hand turn onto 28. I appreciate everyone volunteering their time, and I don't want to take any more, so thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Cesar Colmenares?
Good evening. I believe I'm a parrot in the sea of voices. My three biggest concerns are density of population, like people already mentioned, and I know this does not only confer to Manassas Park, but also Manassas. 28 is chaos. Going out to Centerville Road, we work in Sterling. Coming down there, getting to Manassas, to Centerville Road, takes us 20 minutes. And another 30 to 40 minutes just to get to our home. It's already ridiculously dense populated. Also in regards of the parking space, I live myself a neighbor. There are covenants in my HOA that prohibit the use of the garage for storage. That being said, neighbor doesn't really follow that, and like it was mentioned already, there's really no way to enforce that. You cannot bring someone's, call the police of, hey, this person has things in their storage. You have to take them out. The other concern that I had was that, like she mentioned, we moved to this community because it was a green place. It was a beautiful place where you can walk around, you can be here, and you can feel at peace. The more that things get developed, and I understand that's the point of a community, of a city, to be developed. However, I think it has to also be conscious of the people already living here and the conditions that they live in. Streets are already narrow as they are for the community that we already have to get more people in here. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron B. Okay. Thank you. And I'm sorry ahead of time here. Khaleder?
Yeah, it's me.
Okay.
My name is
If you please come to the microphone. Please come. Thank you. And if you state your name for me, thank you very much, so I don't, and so to there, and your address, please. Thank you.
My name is Khalda Afzalyar. I'm living in Christie Drive, so I want to give my chance to Ms. Nancy if she want to share more concern about this development. Thank you.
Hi, Nancy Edwards from Christie Drive again. I had one more thought. When Belmont Station was first developed, city code was you needed 2.3 parking spaces per home, and the developers said, I'll do better than that, I'll give you 2.5, and they counted the garage and the driveway for the garage units. And then for the non-garage units, there were 2 spaces each plus so many visitor spots. And since then, it's changed, and of course, nobody uses their garage and a lot of times don't use their driveways. There are homes with 5 cars per house, and there's just not enough parking. But also, when it was first developed, we were allowed to parallel park on Scotty Lane, in between Christy, Andrew, and Jessica. And the fire marshal allowed that. And then we got a new fire marshal who came through and said, yeah, the street isn't wide enough, you can't park here anymore. And we lost a ton of parking because of that. And to approve the waiver to narrow the streets in this development, I think it's just they're gonna wind up with problems. Even if the fire department today says it's fine, 3 years from now, someone could come through and say, yeah, this doesn't work, and then what do they do? Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. or Miss Houston, can't quite make out the first name.
Mason Houston.
Okay.
I think mine might go to the next. Are you going
Okay.
to have one on the next?
Yeah, we have a second public hearing there for West Kelowna Ray,
Will
like
I have to
Run
do
Lane.
that again, or-
Yeah, there will be a public input then too. Thank you. And Katina McNair? Katrina, I'm sorry.
I live with my mother in Manassas Park Station, and I just really, this is personal for me. I've been here raising my daughter. I am a daughter myself, and with one school system, it just hurts my heart as an educator. And all of this development that's happening, I cannot understand why one school system, all the children going to one school system, not enough teachers. The teachers are burnout. Administration's burnout. Not enough buses. Several buses, 2 or 3 times a day. It clogs up congestion for people like myself who are still working, trying to get down Digital Drive. And then you're talking about something that deteriorates the beautification of what was once here. It's going away. The more you build, the less we have. When I first moved here, I used to walk down and see the deer. I can't see them anymore. I can only see them at the end of Digital where they want to change it now because this is their home. They're here too. They were here before us. And we just take over. And before you know it, what's going to be left? Nothing. We need to find a happy medium, and this is not it. We really need to change and to consider the land we have and to preserve it. Just like the waterways and how we live on one side and Manassas is on the other, we need to think about that long and hard before we build again, before we change what was already beautiful into something as crime. We've already had someone try to break into our house in the middle of the night. That's a big change. And talking about affordable housing, think about the people who are going to live there. I went to a house for the friend at a previous job, and I'm telling you, her behavior was deplorable because she was part of the affordable housing. She had made such a racket where she was living, the neighbors kept banging on the door. That's not who we want to have here. We don't want that kind of environment. We don't want to increase that. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. That's all I have for the sign-in sheet this evening. So what I will do at this time, I'll close the public hearing portion of this, the public input portion of this public hearing. The time is 8:15. I do have a question for the applicant and for the city.
Did you want the applicant to come in and make comments?
Well, so
Respond to
there were quite a few comments. Is there an opportunity for us to give time to a next meeting to have the applicant address all the comments that have been made? Is that?
Well, I think it's appropriate to.
For the, we're talking about this public hearing right now. Okay, we have is that going to pose a problem for the hearing itself?
I don't think we'll be able to address them all, but she does say she has several of them that she can address right now.
Okay.
If you want to hear it, but otherwise, we will obviously have to follow up on the rest of them.
Okay, so we can give time now, but if the applicant is in a position to.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Then please.
There were a couple of themes that I heard. A lot of the themes surrounded traffic. And so I first want to start with notice, then I'll hit some traffic comments and see if I can hit as many as I can. I know it's a long night, a lot of people in another hearing, so I'll be as quick as possible. But as far as noting notice, state law specifically regulates notice. Prior to a public hearing, notice has to be given to adjacent properties. That is the rule also that the city of Manassas Park follows. That notice has to be provided 5 days before the public hearing, and it needs to be mailed certified. We mailed the notice as requested and required, certified mail, 7 days before the public hearing. That was sent last Wednesday to everybody. As far as our community meeting, we actually went above and beyond that adjacent property owners list. We sent notices to 506 people, residences. So we sent notice, sorry, this is Mickey's slide, but we sent notice to everybody that lived here. We also sent notice to the residences above this, and we sent notice to the community that's above the apartments as well. So we went well beyond that adjacent property owners when we sent notice for the community meeting, and we sent that notice 2 weeks prior to our community meeting to give people plenty of time. In addition, this application was also required to be posted in the newspaper twice for 2 consecutive weeks, and I believe, based on what we were able to see, the city of Manassas Park also posted that notice. As far as traffic, one thing that I didn't mention, but the number of trips that we're proposing with these 86 units is actually a reduction in the trips permitted by right, because a majority of this property today is industrial. And so this is an industrial zoned property, and we're reducing the trips that are permitted by right. We are providing 2.38 if you exclude the garages. The applicant is providing 2.38 parking spaces per unit. So the total number of parking spaces, again, is 205. If we include the garages, that would be 248 parking spaces for these 86 units. That includes the garage, the driveway, and our surface parking spaces that are being proposed as part of the proposal. There was a question specifically about the sidewalk. So the existing sidewalk on Digital Drive is going to remain, and we're doing another sidewalk. As far as the vinyl fence, there's about a 3-foot offset from the existing chain link fence that's associated with the residential adjacent to where we would have that vinyl fence, and the HOA would be responsible for maintaining that fence. And then I just wanted to mention, when we talk about affordable housing and workforce housing, that is up to 120% AMI and up to 70% AMI. I believe right now, I think it's 165,000 is the area median income for our area. So that 70% of 165,000, those are our firefighters, our police officers, those are our teachers. Those are not necessarily the low income at 10, 20, 30% AMI. So I think that there is a myth of affordable housing and workforce housing, and sometimes folks will associate that with low income equating to crime, instead of these units are working class people that live in our communities that don't make $165,000 a year, which is our area median income today. I think I hit a lot, unless the council wrote down some of the parking questions that I did not address.
If the applicant wouldn't mind being willing to just to go through thoroughly the comments that were made this evening and then speak to those at our next meeting, would that pose a problem to the applicant?
When is the next meeting? I think from
So
a
it's the
timing.
second Wednesday in September. I don't happen to have that in front of me there.
The 10th.
The 10th.
Would that allow the applicant to be able to go to, still go to the city council on the 16th? There's a timing associated with this case.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that?
If there's not going to be a vote tonight, then I think we would have to defer it to answer those questions.
Just to give it time and to give the applicant an opportunity to more thoroughly be able to respond to the comments that were made this evening, if that's,
Yes.
we would appreciate that.
Okay.
I have a question, because I'm on city council. Why do we have to take this up at the September meeting? Why can't this be at the October meeting for city council?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you don't. She mentioned they had a deadline.
Is that your internal deadline, or is that, it's not a city deadline? So, I mean, it could always go to the October meeting in city council.
We could go to October.
I'm just saying, and if,
Okay.
I don't want to, we don't want to turn around and have people come to city council and they can't make it, and
Okay,
that sort
that
of
makes
thing.
sense.
We also have 2 meetings in September. We have another one the following week, the 16th, so.
Okay.
We appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So if commissioners are
Can I
good with
ask
that?
a process
Please,
question?
go ahead, please.
So the public hearing has been closed on this.
The public input portion for the time being. So what'll happen is at our next meeting, the applicant will have an opportunity to speak to all the comments that were made this evening in a thorough manner. I will have an opportunity to open up for public input based on what is addressed
Okay. So you
during
would
that
reopen
meeting.
the public hearing?
The public input portion. The public hearing is still open. We're just going to
Okay.
defer action. We're not closing it
Okay,
this
thank
evening.
you.
Sure, you're welcome. So if commissioners are amenable then, I guess I'll offer a motion to defer action on this public hearing until our September 10th, 2025 meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you to the applicant. Appreciate that. Okay, if we're ready to move along, we do have a second public hearing this evening. It's public hearing comprehensive plan amendment rezoning CPA RZ number 2025-02 and public facilities manual waivers PFW number 2025-02A to PFW number 2025-02F. At this time, I'll call forward the applicant and state your name and affiliation for the record, and you may begin your presentation anytime you're ready.
Good evening. My name is Samantha Stuckety, and I'm a senior land use planner with Ballard Spar, and I'm excited to present the Overlook application to you this evening on behalf of the applicant. The application encompasses 2 parcels that are approximately 13.1 acres and located south of West Carondelet Drive, west of Manassas Drive, and generally east of Jessica Court. The larger of the 2 parcels is currently developed with a vacant building and has 2 points of access onto West Carondelet Drive. In order to facilitate the proposed residential development known as the Overlook, the applicant is seeking to change the existing designation from Planned Unit Development and B2 General Business District to Planned Unit Development Residential. The Overlook provides a thoughtfully designed community buffered from Manassas Drive by a robust 1.2 acre tree preservation area and consists of 47 front-loaded townhomes, 30 rear-loaded townhomes, and 136 stacked condos for a total of 213 units. 5% of which will be affordable dwelling units, nestled around an approximately 30,000 square foot centrally located community amenity area that is a part of the community's 4.5 acres of open space. Something that we consistently heard from the community, as you've heard on the previous application, as we worked through this application, was a desire to see parking provided in excess of the 432 spaces required. We heard the community and are proposing to provide 499 parking spaces. Note that the zoning ordinance only permits each garage space to be counted as half of a parking space. If you were to count each garage as a whole parking space, we have 638 parking spaces, or 3 spaces per unit on average. West Carondelet Drive remains unchanged with the proposed development. Grove Slade's operations analysis and preliminary signal assessment at the intersection of West-East Carondelet Drive and Manassas Drive determined that the intersection operates at an acceptable level and that a traffic signal is not recommended at the intersection. Although staff is supportive of the application, they have identified one open question in the staff report. In short, while the traffic analysis concluded that a right turn lane taper along West Carondelet Drive on the eastbound approach may be warranted, it would require the removal of the on-street parking. As the applicant has consistently heard from the community that retaining the on-street parking is critical, it is deferring to the community and not proposing the right turn lane taper at this time, but we'd be happy to revisit it if the commission disagrees. While the application has been processing through the city, the applicant has engaged with the Belmont Station HOA, Bloom's Crossing HOA, and Park Place on several occasions leading up to this evening's public hearing. Most recently, on July 22nd, the applicant hosted a community meeting with the residents of Belmont Station and Bloom's Crossing to walk through this application and answer any questions. It has been a pleasure working with your staff, and with their recommendation of approval, we respectfully request your recommendation of approval this evening. I am joined by the applicant and members of the team, and we are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions from commissioners? Commissioner Carrera?
Yes, thank you for making the application. I appreciate you making the town hall. I'm going to be very honest with you, this is just too dense for me. I said this from the very beginning when this first came up, it's just way too dense. Thank you. And I'm not running for re-election, so I appreciate it. It's just too dense, and that's my main concern with this. If you look at the left side of the area there, it's like the curve is up to the curve where the senior housing is. I mean, they come out of, I mean, there used to be some buffers there, at least maybe 20 feet. I mean, you're coming out and you're just seeing other curve over other curve. I don't know, it doesn't look right. So that's where my concern is, just the density. So that's all I have.
Commissioner Evans? Commissioner Beckett?
I agree with the first comment, way too dense, but I think the second is, I think when we're looking at traffic patterns, I mean, I live in Primrose, right along West Carondelet. There's no way in the world I'm going to be able to make it out of my neighborhood to go to work in the morning. No way. There's just no way in the world. And we need, and I guess this is for the city, a new analysis on what it means to have a traffic light at that corner. Especially if we're also thinking that the previous applicant is going to have a couple of hundred parking spots. On the other, we're trapped. And I think that I think staff from the city really needs to go back and do a little bit more thinking about what it means for the people who live there. And I just can't imagine coming home at 5 o'clock and leaving somewhere between 6 and 7:30 and being able to do that in my own neighborhood, then to drive to Centerville Road to try to get to Fairfax. It's not feasible. I'd have to leave my house an hour and a half to go 12 miles if this happened. We're talking about 2028, 2029, when everything is in place. We've got to be visionary. And the vision is full of traffic.
Commissioner Petak?
So I likewise agree with the prior commissioners who've spoken on this. It is too dense. That's definitely the case. I have reservations about the density on the last applicant as well. And I'd like to add to the traffic issue that the whole notion of adding a buffer lane on West Carondelet and taking away parking along West Carondelet is not going to be acceptable to the residents there. So that this is just too dense.
Would the applicant like to have the city make its presentation? Because we're at that point now where either the applicant can speak to any of the comments the commissioners have made. We do have the city to make its presentation, and then I'm going to give the public a chance to speak as well.
Julie, want to address some of the comments that were made? I meant collectively.
Sure, that'd be helpful. Hi, I'm Kayla. I'm with Grosslade, the transportation engineer. I just wanted to comment on a few things, and one thing I did want to point out is that the traffic being generated by this site, in comparison to when the school was in there, in the morning it's actually less traffic than the school was generating, and then in the PM and the daily it is slightly more, but the delta between what was there and what is being proposed is smaller than just if we were adding on a vacant site that was never planned for anything. And then for the signal warrants, I just wanted to kind of talk through what that process is. So the MUTCD is the national and regional standard for what we look at for if a signal is warranted. So there's guidelines that we look at volumes, we look at turning movements, and we did look at it for this intersection, and it was not warranted, and if I'm being honest, it wasn't close to the threshold. And then we did look at the level of service, and it was all level service B, so it was acceptable. Thank you.
If you guys want to go ahead and move to staff's presentation at this point, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call Planning and Zoning Administrator Barry to present the city's presentation.
Application, we do have a change in our land use designation. The properties are currently zoned PUD and B2, which is commercial. I believe at some point this was supposed to be a commercial area when there was a annexation agreement, but I think that, well, that has fallen by the wayside. And of course, the school is there, which is now closed, and this is open space. In our land use plan, currently it's identified as private institution because of the school, and recreation is what it is on our future land use map. You can see everything surrounding it is residential and surrounded by multifamily, and then, of course, across from Manassas Drive is the single-family Blooms Crossing. This is the development. This is a nice slide because it gives you an idea of where the different units are going to be. The ones in gold are going to be the loaded townhomes. And then the pink are rear-loaded townhomes, and all the blue are the 2/2 condos. If you can, there are little stars. Those are the affordable dwelling units. I believe there's going to be a total of 11. So I did want to kind of focus on a density requirements, and as staff, we have two documents that we look at when we review applications. One is the comprehensive plan, which is our future plan for the city, and the zoning ordinance, which are the regulations that actually are supposed to enforce the comprehensive plan or further the comprehensive plan. So when you look at PUD, and in fact, in all of our zoning districts, we don't have any density or intensity requirements. And that was, I believe, done deliberately. Other jurisdictions certainly have a cap on, it's typically called floor area ratio or dwelling units per acre. What it says in the zoning ordinance, which is our guide, is that flexibility is offered to promote efficient land use, housing choices, higher level of amenities, and preservation of open space. And then they do go through a list of items that would be reasons to reduce the density. But again, there really is no threshold. So I did take a few of the surrounding communities and calculated the dwelling units per acre. And you can see that Belmont Reserve is at 8, the Palisades is at 10 dwelling units per acre, the Overlook is 13, and, oh, I'm sorry, I am looking at the wrong column. Forgive me. That's the acreage. So Palisades is actually at 28 dwelling units per acre. Belmont Reserve and Dominion Crossing are around 10. And the Park Place Senior Apartments is actually 18. And then the Overlook is below that, and that's their adjacent property. And then Ivy Park comes in at, the gentleman before mentioned 14. I got it at 13.78. So these are most of the newer developments within the city. So you can see there is a range of different dwelling units per acre, but both developments kind of sit within that range. I was really surprised about Palisades. It didn't seem that dense to me, but that is what came out with the calculation. These are the waivers. I won't spend too much time with them, and they're the same ones from on the previous application, and the issues are basically the same, trying to get more urban development, as well as when you have the 2/2 condos, they put them back to back, so that road in between them kind of functions as an alleyway. So some of these certainly don't apply, especially sidewalks on both sides of the road. That is just doesn't make any sense when you're in an alleyway. And I've never seen a sidewalk in an alleyway. So, I mean, it's usually more of the utilitarian area where sidewalks aren't warranted. You can see on the plan that they do have several sidewalks that lead to the common open space, and I think they did a pretty good job of trying to connect the community within it and also going towards West Carondelet Drive on the pedestrian front. So I'll just Samantha mentioned the taper. This is an issue, and staff does recommend that we follow what the transportation analysis said. I guess what the analysis stated was that that taper is actually warranted now under current conditions. So that is why we believe it should be installed, but you're only going to get 2 cars in there, and the bus stop will have to move, which really decreases the amount of on-street parking, and I think it's about 7 spaces that will be removed, more or less. You've already seen this diagram, but I mean, this is the pictorial display of how it would probably occur if the taper was put in. And just here are the highlights of the application. We didn't really focus on, but that area along Manassas Drive, it will remain mostly wooded. They do have, again, another community open space that the residents can use. It's pretty substantial, 30,000 square feet. And then there's 5 affordable dwelling units and 6 workforce. And again, workforce is for city staff, making 80%, up to 80% of AMI. So at first, for our recommendations, the Planning Commission needs to really make a recommendation about the comprehensive plan amendment. You can't really approve a rezoning until you have amended the comprehensive plan. So that would really be the first recommendation. We are recommending approval of the rezoning, but we are going to defer to the commission on whether or not they want the taper or the on-street parking. And we do recommend all the public facilities for the reasons previously stated. I'd be happy to answer any more questions.
Questions from commissioners for the city? Commissioner Carrera?
No question. Thank you.
Commissioner Evans? Commissioner Beckett?
I have a comment. The comprehensive plan is under review right now, right? At some point, we'll be looking at it.
Yes, hopefully starting this fall.
Right. I think the planning commission and the governing body really needs to really think differently about parking. Parking and traffic. Parking is a quality of life issue here in Manassas Park. It is not something that we should be planning to a minimum standard, right? Just because the ordinance says something doesn't mean that we need to be planning to that minimum. Because if we're planning to that minimum, then what ends up happening is that we have and I hate to dissect the city into 2 parts, but we'll have the parking problem that exists on the other side of Manassas Park, on the other side of Centerville Road, on this side of Manassas Park. And we're planning ourselves into a problem that will exist 5 years from now, and we can be a lot smarter today than we're being with these presentations, not just this one, but the other one, and the direction that the city is going.
Commissioner Petak?
So I have one comment and one question. I think it is over 14 units for Ivy Park. It was 86 units, not 82 units. So whenever you increase the number, going back to your chart.
Excuse me, I did probably make that
So it
error.
is
I
over 14
apologize.
units, and that's, as I mentioned earlier, I did have concern about the density on that application as well. I certainly have it here with the 16-plus units per acre. And that gets me to my question, which is the city not having a density plan or density restrictions in place, or thinking about density more generally. Can I ask why that is the case? Why we haven't thought about density restrictions, particularly since other jurisdictions have things in place to do that?
Well, I honestly do not have a good answer for you. This is the way that the ordinance has been written. I don't know when all of that was established. Certainly, the only thing I can say is that the process to really look at that would be starting with the amendment and full rewrite of the comprehensive plan, because that certainly could be something that we aspire to or put into the goals, that we need to really put density limitations on the different developments. But as it stands now, and which is the zoning ordinance, which is law, there is no density. But of course, with an application, you can propose whatever density you would like.
So I would like to ask that is considered in the next comprehensive plan. You know, and history is, I've been a resident here really long, since 1993, long time now, and so I've seen the city change for the better, mostly, over time. But it is probably time, since we are building out as a city, to look at density restrictions and think about them.
Very good, thank you.
Other questions?
Thank you.
Comments? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to open up the public input portion of the meeting. It's 8:45. And I know a number of members of the public have left. I could go through the list as I did before, but I can also start on one side and just work our way around if that's acceptable to members of the public. And I'll just go back the rows, and please come forward one by one. State your name and address for the record, and please make your statement. Put your questions out.
Hi, my name name is Eleftheria Brown. I live in Belmont Station. Talking about traffic, I worked at Fair Oaks Hospital, quit my job because of 28, 2 months ago. Got a job at Prince William Hospital. I don't want to have to quit that job too, because if this goes up, Lord knows how long it's going to take me to get to work from home at that point. So that's all.
Thank you.
Hello again. Belmont Station.
And your name, please. I'm sorry.
Sandra Smith.
Thank you.
I want to confirm that if the city doesn't have a density requirement, shame on us. Shame on us, because that should have been put in place. Now, I'm hoping, now that it has come to light, that it will be put in place. The other is on the density chart that the young lady pulled up. Belmont Station was not included, and Belmont Station is adjacent to, and I'm concerned, why was they not included?
Because I couldn't accurately figure out what the actual area of the development was. I'd have to do a lot more research on that because I wasn't really sure. I mean, I can do my best to calculate that for you, but
I can get you the number of units if that's what.
Sure, no, I have the number of
Oh,
units.
okay.
It's the area of the entire property.
Because that is also a direct impact to the traffic and the flow. You got the bus stops and you have all of these others. And if you're gonna take out those townhomes, which is where I live, and so does the other lady over here, that has to be included in the density. I don't see how you cannot include it. Maybe I'm missing something.
And you could please address your comment to the chair. And
Oh,
but
okay, well, she got
listening.
up and
She's
started,
listening,
so
that's
I'm
okay.
just-
No,
I'm just
please
asking.
don't worry about that.
Okay.
Just to keep decorum here, thank you.
Okay, thank you, that's fine.
You're welcome.
Also, I want to check on is the water usage. We've talked about 2 different units being built in such a small area. My God, where are we getting the water from? And how much is it going to cost us? That's an issue. And I think I speak for the people here and the other people that are not here. What are we going to do about that? If we haven't addressed the density issue, have we addressed the water issue? Something to think about. Thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome, thank you.
Chris Ricotta, Bellow Gate and on Dominion Crossing. I hate to sound like a broken record, but, excuse me, can you hear me? I hate to sound like a broken record, but, I mean, with this unit this year, that's what, 213 units? So you're looking at 213 to 426 more cars, plus the one from the other one, that's another like 170 cars. And this is all on 28 now, and Manassas Drive. And Manassas Drive is the only thing. And then especially now with this new one in Carondelet, there's only 2 ways to get there. They're either going to come down Manassas Drive or you're going to cut through Digital Drive to hit Carondelet. And that's just going to it's going to get insane. Just trying, it is too dense. And then especially even if you're going to 95, I mean, you got to go down to, you're either going to go Signal Hill and catch Liberia to go up to go Prince William Parkway, and it's busy enough as it is now. I mean, imagine with all these extra cars. I think, like I said, the infrastructure I think needs to be developed a little more before we start putting in some of these places here. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question about the
Your name
two
and address
slides.
for the record again. This is a separate public hearing, so
I'm
please go
sorry.
ahead. That's okay, not a problem.
Christine Ricotta, Bellowgate.
Thank you.
Both slides for both proposals showed allowing 700 cars on private roads. Is that 700 for each proposal? Or is that a total of 700 if both of them get done?
We'll make sure the applicant speak to that then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, yes, my name is Mason Houston. I live on Jessica Drive in Belmont Station. I do want to thank you guys for emailing me regarding, you did the plans, so thank you for that. I was looking at them. I am one of the houses that backs up to what they're proposing to, And from what I saw on the plans, there's going to be a retaining wall. Right now, there's currently a hill with trees, and, my concern is that there's going to be a hydrology issue, water. Right now, in the back of our yards, it's sloped back down towards our houses, so there's kind of a flooding issue. Right now, those trees and the roots, they take some of that water and they make it less of an issue, but if there's a retaining wall there, I can guarantee you they're not going to want the water to come over the wall, and it's going to come back into the backs of those houses. I'm just wondering if you could address some of those issues. And if you're going to be leaving the trees, hopefully.
Thank you. No, okay. Good. I'm sorry, we'll start at the beginning and move back. Yes, so please, front row, thank you.
Hi, Erin, Belmont Station. No questions, just comments. If y'all were going to build single-family homes, I think we could all deal with that. Townhouses are bad enough. Stacked condos, that's disgusting. I'm sorry, but that is absolutely disgusting. The density issue is already a problem enough. And looking at the neighborhood map that was on the screen, I mean, I feel like you got to get rid of the townhouse strip closest to Manassas Drive and the strip of townhouses or whatever it was along West Carondelet. We could deal with all the stuff over there, but the density of everything stacked and all the parking and all the extra dogs, everybody's visitors, the street parking, the people in the current townhouses aren't going to have anywhere to park because you know that they're going to have more cars than can fit in the new development. Anyway, just comments.
Thank you. Sorry, we were just working our way back. Thank you.
Cesar, Pickens Place. I think that personally, laws are there to be followed, of course. That does not mean that they can't be improved for the future of the city. I understand that the city wants to be developed, and I agree with it. Of course, progress, where progress is done, is always amazing. But we have to set ourselves for good. If we continue development, getting people in without density guidelines that should be followed, we're just gonna create a New York here in Manassas Park, where we have a huge density of people and streets of maybe 1 or 2 ways, creating chaos all over the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Julie. Okay, good. Next row.
Hi, Jeremy Hunt's here, Belmont Station, and I'm actually part of the Jessica Drive route, right over here. In case you didn't notice, there was already, they started putting sticks back there to say, hey, look, this is where the property line changes. So all of a sudden, we're now very well aware of those trees that we have loved, that is our back, is not our property, even though we kind of mow the lawn there with our HOA and stuff. So that's already a bit of a concern because there, not only does it provide water retention, but it's also shading, and a lot of people bought those houses because they like the trees in their backyard. So that is going to be a concern, especially since I saw how sparse the trees were in the development plans. Next thing. Has anyone else noticed the electrical issues in this area where like sometimes you get flickers every once in a while? Has no one else seen flickers in their lights? We already have to share our power grid with all of the server stations in the not in our area directly, but near our neighbors have a lot of server stations and doing all the stuff with IT and whatnot. That's great, but that causes a lot of strain on our power grid, and I'm concerned if we're going to add such a dense amount of housing in one space, what that's going to do to our power grid. And we already talked about the water, right? We also said the water is an issue. That's another very big concern that, like, we have to buy our water from Manassas, if I'm correct, as it stands? And so if that's still the case, I mean, we're going to have to buy even more water from them. And we do pay a premium for our water as is. So I'm concerned about those prices as well.
Thank you.
Lorraine Chan also, that was my husband, and we live on Jessica Drive.
So wanted to reiterate the water usage and the electrical usage, as well as the trees in the back. But also, like, why we got this letter in the mail, like, listing all of the waivers and such on, like, just this week? Like, I've tried to look at the city website to get early listings of when the public hearings were, or details, or even a planned agenda. I don't know, I guess I have to call or email someone directly. I would just like to have better access to this information. And then today is the first time that I ever even saw the plans drawn up for the overlook. I don't know, like, to prepare for these public meetings, it would be helpful to have that information at hand, but I know, like, it can be confidential or proprietary, but, like, it's just a better way to communicate to the community how to get this information more, like, have it more accessible to us, since it's affecting us directly. That's what, like, so you said you had to get it emailed to you, or how did you get the?
We were at the last meeting, there was a meeting, what was it, a couple weeks ago, and
Yeah.
we put her name on the list.
Yeah. So, like, even then, our HOA, we got an email, or we got a letter there, but I think they wrote the date wrong for the meeting. Like, I just want to have access on the web, on the website. Since you already have a website, it's there. Just put it up there. That's all.
Thank you.
Hi, Paul Navable, Bellica Drive and Dominion Crossing. Again, I think everybody, part of my community have been talking about is the infrastructure of this. The gentleman over here and the commissioner mentioned that the density is too much, and he lives in that area. That is giving you an idea of what he has already, a personal aspect of the traffic that's gonna have. 230 units in that area, that is way too much density. People are talking about electricity, water, utilities. There is no infrastructure in that area that will be able to carry on those extra 230 units. That is too much. The traffic, parking. We are already having enough issues as it is with the density in that small unit. We only have 2 ways to get in and get out with Digital Drive and West Condolet to get to Manassas Drive. That is adding more to that, including the construction traffic on both sides. If both units are going at the same time, do you imagine how much the blockage will be with the school traffic, construction traffic, regular traffic, and that there's no way. What if you have to do road improvements, which, by the way, needs to be done in Digital Drive? Okay, where are we going to do? When are we going to take care of that infrastructure first? Then we can work on these other things. 230 units plus the other additional units is way too much. And if we're going to have these things back to back, it's just going to cause more traffic and more congestion and more headaches for everybody else. That's my time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Nancy Edwards, Belmont Station, Christie Drive. My only comment is on the intersection of Carondelet and Manassas Drive, where the transportation study said that it doesn't need a traffic light. I expect that it will need a traffic light pretty quickly. When Belmont Station was built, there were just stop signs at Manassas Drive and Andrew and Signal View. And that intersection quickly became a disaster with accidents. So the city had to put in a traffic light there eventually. There's a lot of pedestrians who walk Manassas Drive on this side of town and go down towards Blooms Park to walk. And the cars that are on the road now, I think the drivers don't see the pedestrians. I walk a lot, and I'm always feel like I'm in the path of a car because they just don't pay attention to pedestrians. The other thing is they don't pay attention to stop signs. People don't come to full stops at stop signs. They just kind of roll through. Sometimes they do more than roll through. So I expect that we will need a traffic light at that intersection if we build this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
again. I am Osk Honeycutt of Andrew Drive in Belmont Station. The developer did make an appearance at our board meeting at Belmont Station, and I just want to clarify that, like, that presentation in no way connotes approval from the board of directors. In fact, I think I would say that there was wide disapproval of that presentation, so I just want to clarify that. They did mention during that meeting that the city had already sold that land to the developer, and that they expected, I think he stated verbatim, that it would be highly unusual for them to sell us this land and then turn around and deny our application. Just FYI, that should be something that to be aware of, right? School traffic from that Christian school definitely does not behave the same way as residential traffic, right? That's a very different situation. And I also question the numbers. How did you come up with those numbers of the number of people coming and leaving the school? School traffic it behaves very differently. It's going to come at a very specific time. It's in a very predictable pattern and located in one place, right? And this is not spread out throughout all of those areas, right? The residents of this new community, if it's approved, or when it's approved, according to the developer, they are absolutely going to cut down Digital Drive. They're going to cut through Belmont Station. They're going to come flying through our community. They're absolutely going to do that, which are privately owned roads, right? Like there's no doubt about that, because that traffic signal on West Carondelet is a mess, right? Heavily agree. Way too dense. That's way too many units, right? That's way too many people. And also, the housing the design is hideous. We have this like ugly, industrial-looking square houses right up on the road. This is an enormous eyesore. It's in an elevated position. This is going to be very, very, very ugly, right? And lastly, and for myself personally, probably most importantly, is I am a naturalist. I'm a master naturalist in Virginia. One of the things that I do is I teach ecology and environmental conservatorship to children, right? There is a trail that goes back there that was built by a 4-H organization. It leads from the area right where the senior housing development is through a small little winding path up to the parking lot of the Christian school, right? It's a small little area, but it is a beautiful place, right? There's an oak tree back there that's at least 100 years old, right? It's got limbs on it that are like this, right? The area is home to at least 2 eastern box turtles, which are a threatened species in Virginia. And I've twice come upon fawn that were laid there by a mother deer, right? So this is destruction of wildlife in a very limited space, right? And additionally, I go back there a lot, right, because I enjoy it. I also come upon the residents of that community back there. The senior development walk their dogs back there, right? And you're taking that away from them and you're replacing it with an ugly wall of hideous, giant monstrosity houses, right? And it's important to note that, like, while they may have a high number of units,
We're done.
Those are senior citizens who are at home in a large building. They're not driving. They're not littering, right? Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commission. Kevin Moreau, City Council, and neighbor of the new proposed project. I agree with Commissioner Patek that generally the development in this city has been for the positive, and that's a good thing. So I'm generally supportive of development, but I do worry about the density. Just as a comparison, the Overlook project, I also did some maths. We have 13 acres, so it's a 16.2 unit per acre site. Compared to another proposal that we heard that's going to be over in Prince William next door, Mayfield Crossing. The first submission for that proposal was 288 units, which would be about 14 units per acre. They asked our planning commission, our city, to take a look at that, provide them some feedback, and we went back and said, hey, can we do a second proposal? And they came back and said, we'll do 280 units or 8.75 units per acre. So I think if we can come to a compromise and work on the density, I think we'd be in a much better position. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stacy Cyberling, Manassas Park City Council, 9212 William Street. I also agree, density, too much, needs to be cut down.
Thank you.
Good evening, Michelle Thomas. I live directly across the street in Blues Crossing in the townhouses. So I am very concerned with the number of proposed units for their growth. And the density issue, I think as a city.
The microphone, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. From a city's perspective, we should be proactive and not in a reactive mode the way we are currently. I know that we don't have the requirements on the records the way, our officials stated. But just because we don't have it doesn't mean that we shouldn't have it. And this is the opportunity for us to look at what the current status is in terms of the density, and to maybe just take a step back and say, well, let's just take a good fresh look at where we are now before we proceed. I am not totally opposed to the overlook because I think that will benefit the city. But when you're bringing so many units in, as others have stated, and which is going to increase our population, traffic, impact to all of our infrastructure, and with this school being there, I've been over there for 20 years, with the school being there, there still were issues with parking on Carondelet in the mornings, in the afternoons, and on the weekends. If we come up Carondelet on the weekend, there's hardly any parking there. So that's just something that we need to look at and be a little proactive. Do we need that development? Certainly we do, but how many units do we really need? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Sure.
Hi, Danny Williams-Jones. That's my mother. We live in Blooms Crossing. My concern is that the representative was like, the traffic light wouldn't be warranted. And I know those numbers or those calculations are algorithmic. That doesn't mean that that's what's actually going to be required in everyday real life. Like, we've lived over there for 20 years. I've seen the community grow up around us, which we're appreciative of, but I've seen children get hit on their bicycles at that intersection already. And ambulance is called and families destroyed because people, like the other woman said, don't believe in stop signs or roll through them or drive haphazardly. So I'm just really concerned about that. I'm also concerned about our neighbors who rely on that bus stop, to get to and fro from school or work or, who has a right to continue existing in that space as they become accustomed over the years? Like she said, people bought their houses for those trees, or people bought the house because they liked the look of the development, and then you want to erect a monstrosity and you want to infringe upon the rights of the people who have called this community home for several years, and I'm not sure that's the right type of growth.
Thank you.
What was her name? Could I get her name?
Danny Williams-Jones.
Thank you.
I think, did you have a chance to speak there, sir?
Hi, I'm Shalab. I stay in Primrose Lane, and the development is very close to where I stay. I'm all for development, and I know this brings in revenue to the city. I'm just concerned about the parking because for us there are only 2 exits, one on the west conduit and other on the digital. And in the morning it's like too busy right now as well. So just wanted to echo whatever everybody else has said and wanted to say that, maybe we can work on the density of the establishment. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I think we gave everyone a chance there. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. At this time, I'll close the public input portion of the public hearing. The time is 9:11. At this time, like I did before, we can give the applicant a chance to speak to certain ones, but I think we'd like to defer as well to the next meeting for giving the applicant an opportunity to consider all the comments that have been made both by commissioners and by members of the public. Is it? Okay. Very good. Thank you. So at this time, then, I will ask for a motion regarding deferring public hearing comprehensive plan amendment rezoning to our September 10th, 2025 meeting.
So moved.
Motion, second? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. With that, we'll give our planning and zoning administrator a chance to let us know about any informational update from community development staff.
The only thing I have to share is that we do anticipate starting our comprehensive plan review process in the fall. We are trying to get the contract award completed in September, so hopefully that will be our starting point, and all the staff, we really look forward to doing this process. It's well needed, and we're hopefully excited to get the community involved. That is one of the things that we really want to strive for, so that's all I have.
We, as the commission, are very excited as well.
Agreed.
Thank you for that update. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion, second? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The time is 9:14.